back again to 209 News. 209, always on time. Today we have some exciting Southeast Asia news from the 80s till today. Lots of exciting stuff for us. Hopefully exciting enough for us to get an A.
This is Kaylee reporting for the Australian news segment. In 1980, Australian women were allowed to join surf clubs as full members on July 1st. In addition to the social issue, there was a political controversy in which the federal executive of the Australian Labor Party decided to intervene in the Queensland branch on March 1st, and most key office holders were replaced. There was also a dispute over the Australian tradition of sending an Olympic team. The Australian Olympic Federation announced on May 24th that it would send an Olympic team, despite America's boycott of the Games. The Prime Minister objected, saying that he hoped this would not imply endorsing Soviet policies. Recently, the telecommunications tower on Canberra's Black Mountain was officially opened on May 18th. A major economic change happened when Chrysler Australia Limited was taken over by Japanese company Mitsubishi on April 30th after the American-based Chrysler Corporation sold its Australian subsidiary for $80 million.
Thanks, Steve. In Vietnam, we have some civilians escaping on boats to free themselves from communism. After the communist north of Vietnam conquered the Vietnam War, the only political party here has been the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, also known as the SRVN, right? There has been pushes made by the SRVN for gender equality with the Women's Work Union. As we know, the oldest male member of your family is control of your family estates, assets, and finances. But look out, alpha males, because your troops are coming back home from invading Cambodia. Boys, make sure to bring home fruit. Boys, make sure to bring home your family some fruits and flowers for your special ladies. Since the war, glories of Vietnam is coming back from economic struggle. It is on the rise of possibly one of the richest countries. Back to you, Darnell.
Good morning, everyone. Ben Parker here for Channel 209 News. We have breaking news on an event that took place on Saturday. Mount Puakanoho erupted, devastating the area, destroying over 480 acres of land and wiping out over 200 homes in the surrounding area. In other news, we still have many protests going on regarding the government's attempts at forcing English upon the native-speaking islanders. The natives, however, have refused to make English their main language and have given the government no choice but to leave it be and to let the islanders speak their language.
Hello, my name is Inashwan Jones from Channel 209 News, giving you the latest news in the Philippines. First up, we have U.S. Air Force C-130 plane crashed in South China Sea, killing 23 of 24 American, Philippine, Australian, and New Zealand personnel abroad. Most of the 24 abroad were American. Next up, we have the tropical storm lashed through the islands, killing 50 people and leaving 200,000 homeless. Families are asking you to donate whatever you have to give to help them during their time of need. Former Senator and former Vice President Emmanuel Pelaez was ambushed in his car in New Manila. Although he survived the assassination attempt, despite taking 6 bullet wounds, his driver was killed. In the late 80s, the Mendiola massacre takes place when peasant farmers rallied against President Aquino and for land reform. The 2-day plot ended in a skirmish, killing a rebel soldier, and 35 others were hurt. Your sports news for today is in the UAAP games. Green Archers won against Growling Tigers, and the score was 72-63. And the Blue Eagles won against Green Archers with the score being 95-91.
President Suharto set important social change in motion as early as the 1980s. He dominated the army and built up regime's intelligence apparatus over much of the decades. Indonesia's borders are those of the Netherlands, East Indies, which was fully formed at the beginning of the 18th century. Indonesia's culture has historical roots, custom values, and beliefs that many of its people share, but it also is a work in process that is undergoing particular stresses. Between 1973 and 1990, there were 29 record volcanoes that contributed to the rich soils for rice cultivation. By the early 21st century, Indonesia rose to be the largest economy in Southeast Asia.
In 1990, Australia had the lowest participation in primary voting, and Prime Minister Bob Hawke was re-elected for a 4th term. Only 39.4% of the population voted on March 24th. On July 19th, he announced a major economic change in how money was handled and stated that the Commonwealth will work with the states to achieve effective supervision of deposit-taking non-bank institutions. From an environmental perspective, 1990 was not a great year for Australia's beaches as a result of an oil slick polluting Victoria's 90-mile beach on February 8th. The International Olympic Committee president arrived in Melbourne for Melbourne's Olympic Games on January 25th. In other news, on January 17, 1991, the unemployment rate fell to 8.1%.
Thanks, Brandon. Women, be on the lookout, because you can only have 2 kids at a time. Resources could run out if our population in Vietnam here isn't kept under control, says the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, the best political party. Thanks to the wonderful government, there are more economic freedoms than ever before. Due to the fall of communism in Russia, we are now one of the last nations with superior communism in our place of government. We struck a deal with the US of A and ended a 30-year trade embargo. Unfortunately, more Western styles of music, clothing are now developing in our younger generations.
Hawaii's educational system has finally taken some time and money into getting the after-school programs in Hawaii to an A+ rating. In other news, George Bush has put a halt on testing bombs on Kauai, Alawi. Apparently it isn't good for the environment, I guess. In other news, Hawaii Pacific wins the women's NAIA Volleyball National Championship, so big shout out to them. Hawaii also finishes with an outstanding record of 8-3 with a conference record of 3-3 in football. Also, if you're looking to go get some goods, big retail stores hit Hawaii. The first Costco opened. After that, Sam's Club and a Walmart have also been opened.
Hello, Nashwan Jones here again with the latest news in the Philippines. Today we have the peace agreements reached with Muslim separatist group Moro National Liberation Front. Another group, Moro Islamic Liberation Front, fights on. The Philippines participated in the 1990 Asian Games being held in Beijing, China, and ranked 13th with 1 gold medal, 2 silver medals, and 7 bronze medals, with an overall total of 10 medals. Mount Pinatubo erupts in what would be the second largest terrestrial eruption of the 20th century. The death toll tops 800. Two University of the Philippines in Los Baños, Laguna, students Aileen Sarmenta and Alan Gomez were abducted and killed by the men of Caloocan, Laguna Mayor's Antonio Sanchez. And for the biggest corruption case in the Philippines, former First Lady Imelda Marcos was convicted for the first time in corruption and sentenced to 24 years in prison. And at the top of the 90s in the Philippines, film star Joseph Estrada was elected president in the year 1998.
Indonesia was the first country ever to qualify for the FIFA World Cup way back in 1933. Football, American soccer, is one of Indonesia's biggest sports. They have taken home gold medals since Summer Olympic Games in 1992. In Indonesia, government contained conditions requiring Indonesia to reform its financial sector, change the nature of government involvement in the economy. As of 1990, there were 6 religions in Indonesia, but Islam is one of the 6 official religions acknowledged in the country. The 6 religions are Islam, Protestant, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. Although Indonesia's economy grew with impressive speed during the 1980s and 1990s, it experienced considerable trouble after the financial crisis of 1997, which led to significant political reforms.
In 2000, the Goods and Services Tax was introduced on July 1st. Another natural disaster struck when an oil spill occurred off the coast of Phillips Island, which endangered the region's penguin population on January 2nd. The World Economic Forum was held in Melbourne from September 11th through the 13th. However, the S11 movement protests overshadowed the event. Another demonstration happened in Sydney on May 28th, in which 250,000 people walked the Sydney Bridge in support of reconciliation with Australia's Aboriginal people. Also, from September 15th to October 1st, the Sydney Olympics were held, and the International Olympic Committee President, Juan Semerang, regards them as the best Olympic Games ever.
Veronica. In our effort to modernize one of the first American flights flight since the Vietnam War has touched down in Ho Chi Minh City. They also decided to pitch in and clear out landmines after the war, now that over 40,000 people have died due to unexploded munitions. Despite self-reported studies, many people are fighting for independence, and as dozens of democracy advocates were arrested for rising up and against our flawless government. Religious organizations, self-labeled freedom fighters, and online critics are spreading anti-government propaganda. The single greatest political party is now named the Communist Party. A round of applause to our stunning government, because the literacy rate is now 94%. But please avoid all bridges. There are hot spots for drug addicts, and some reports claim that there are so many bloody needles you can't take a single step without getting AIDS.
Good morning. To start off our news this morning, we have impeachment proceedings start against President Estrada on allegations of corruption, betrayal of public trust, and violation of the Constitution. The trial of Philippine President Joseph Estrada took place between 2001 and 2007 at the Sandigabayan. The Sandigabayan, Filipino for the People's Advocates, is a special collegiate court in the Philippines that has jurisdiction over criminal and civil cases involving graft and corrupt practices and other offenses committed by public officers and employees, including those in government-owned or government-controlled corporations. This trial lasted from 2001 until 2007. After a lengthy trial, the Sandigabayan ruled Estrada not guilty of perjury, while ruling him as guilty of plunder and sentenced him to permanent imprisonment. For sports, the Philippines participated in 2002 Asian Games held in Busan, South Korea, from September 29th to October 14th, 2002. They ranked 18 with 3 gold medals, 7 silver medals, and 16 bronze medals, with a total of 26 overall medals.
Indonesia was the first country ever to qualify for the FIFA World Cup way back in 1933. Football, American soccer, is one of Indonesia's biggest sports. They have taken home gold medals since Summer Olympic Games in 1992. In Indonesia, government contained conditions requiring Indonesia to reform its financial sector, change the nature of government involvement in the economy. As of 1990, there were 6 religions in Indonesia, but Islam is one of the 6 official religions acknowledged in the country. The 6 religions are Islam, Protestant, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. Although Indonesia's economy grew with impressive speed during the 1980s and 1990s, it experienced considerable trouble after the financial crisis of 1997, which led to significant political reforms.
According to Business News Australia, on March 5, 2019, Australia has been shifting from going to shopping centers to e-commerce. However, the author states that the neighborhood shopping centers are relatively safe from this threat. However, the economy may lose money because on February 20, 2019, a major Chinese port banned Australian coal imports, citing environmental reasons. Also on March 4th, Australia signed a free trade pact with another country in this region, Indonesia. However, PV Magazine analyzed the differing political opinions of Australian citizens on March 11, 2019, in light of the upcoming elections, and found that the country is very divided on issues such as climate change and coal production. Also making national headlines, on March 12, 2019, the cybersecurity of Australian citizens was brought up, as well as how this issue should be dealt with.
Thanks for that, Braxton. 4 human rights activists were jailed for attempting to overthrow the government, including prominent lawyer Le Cong Din. Civil rights activists think this is a response to the freedom of expression clampdown, but our astonishing government has volunteered to keep us safe from these traitors and ban all communication about government affairs. Thanks, Vietnam. The safety of every citizen is the most important thing to the capital. Reportedly, from the Vietnam government, they will prevent all acts of terrorism and by any means necessary. With the help of the government funding, Vietnam has one of the highest GDP growth among other countries from their original economic whereabouts. With an estimated population of 94.6 million, the government priority to eliminate all threats applies to the state and its citizens. Any speech that could be against the government could be met with deadly force. Hail His Excellency.
Indonesia's President Joko administration took small steps in 2018 to protect the rights of some of Indonesia's most vulnerable people. In August, the government moved 8 Malukan political prisoners more than 2,000 kilometers from a remote, high-security prison in Nusa. Religious and gender minorities continue to face harassment. Authorities continue to arrest, prosecute, and imprison people under the blasphemy law. Following a 2016 deluge of government-driven anti-lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, the LGBT rhetoric, authorities in 2018 continue to target private gatherings and LGBT individuals.
Good morning, my name is Newcast Jones, here to give you the latest news in the 2010s in the Philippines. First up, we have sports. In the NCAA 85th season, the PTU Dolphins have taken an indefinite leave of absence after several of their juniors division players were found to have used falsified documents to enter the school. Also, 3 guest teams will take part in the basketball events, with all 3 eligible to win championships. Now let's talk about the weather in the Philippines. Typhoon Juan hit northern Luzon. It was among the most intense tropical cyclones ever recorded. Former Palawan Governor Joel Reyes is released from detention center after the Court of Appeals resolved in his favor a petition in connection with his murder case for killing of broadcaster Dr. Jerry Ortega in 2011. Finally, a video of a student bullying his classmate, which took place inside the campus of Antonio de Manila Junior High School, has been making rounds on social media. The incident was captured on video and was met with widespread shock and outrage on social media from local celebrities and politicians. On December 23rd, Antonio management announced that the bully had been dismissed from the school. Thank you for joining us today on 209 News.